Today we turn to the prophet Jeremiah and to the 23rd chapter. I encourage you to take a look at verses 1 through 6. And those verses begin with, "Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says the Lord." And then God goes on to condemn the shepherds who shepherd my people, those who have scattered God's flock. And then in verses 3 and 4, we again have this wonderful image of God saying in verse 3, "That I myself will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and I will bring them back to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and multiply." And then verse 4, our verse of the day, "I will raise up shepherds over them who will shepherd them, and they shall not fear any longer or be dismayed, nor shall any be missing, says the Lord." And then what follows is a messianic promise that God will raise up a righteous branch from the line of David. And this passage from Jeremiah 23 is one that the early church looked back on. And again, for them, they saw Jesus in this passage, that Jesus was the righteous branch who would reign and deal wisely and execute justice and righteousness. And the tough reality is that in several passages, especially in the prophet Ezekiel, who I'll share from tomorrow, leadership really makes a difference in any organization, any team, any nation, any movement. And the prophets in the Hebrew Bible are strongly critical of the shepherds of Israel, those being both the political rulers, the kings, as well as the religious leaders. And God promising that there is a consequence. Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture. There's going to be judgment that's not going to be pleasant for those who have not fulfilled their leadership role as God desired that role to be carried out. And at the same time, the promise of God that God would raise up good shepherds. And again, that's a title that Jesus claims for himself. I am the good shepherd. And rather than taking advantage of the sheep, Jesus is the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep and tries to draw more sheep into the flock. And that's part of what we see prophesied in Jeremiah 23, 1 to 6. So as we continue through this week of hearing this theme of Jesus being the good shepherd and God being a good shepherd and God caring for all the sheep, just remember that all these passages are signaling to you, even if you feel like you're one little sheep off on its own, that God sees you, God cares for you, and God will never leave you alone.